So, any of you know who Dave Ramsey is? Oh, a couple, cool. So, Dave's older than I am, so I have another suggestion for you guys that'll be a little more age appropriate. But my wife and I have been following Dave Ramsey's plan. It's really simple. It's not easy to do. Lots of people struggle with it, as simple as it is. It's as simple as this. You need to have an emergency fund of $1,000. If anything happens, your car breaks down, whatever, you've got that money put aside to cover emergencies. The next thing you do is take all the debt you have, rank it from highest to lowest. Throw all the money you can at the lowest one until it's paid off. Scratch that off the list, move up and do the next one. My wife and I have been doing this for the past 2.5 years. She went to nursing school. We paid for that ourselves directly. I am now down, I still have student loan debt. I went back to school at the University of Phoenix after my pro racquetball career, and I amortized that loan for 25 years. 25 years of student loan payments. I'm halfway through it, and I still owe just under 20 grand. Scary. But we have everything else taken care of. We've gotten rid of all the credit card debt. We own both our cars. We are in so much better financial shape that she enabled us to let her to go to school and not have to work at all. My job paid for everything we needed, and now that she's out of school and working, we have what seems like so much more money to throw at the little bit of debt we have left, and it's because of the Dave Ramsey plan. So, file that away for future reference. The snowball program is what he calls that. Has been very effective for us. It's a very simple plan. I'm sure it would help you guys too. Something that's probably a little more relatable is this guy. Ramsey Sethi wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It is awesome. I read it a bunch of times. I recommend it to people. He's a little bit more technology driven. I think he has 8 bank accounts. All the money he makes gets put in the top, and then it filters down into a bunch of different bank accounts. He lives in New York and rents an apartment, and it's like $7,500 a month or something. It's atrocious. But he said, I don't consider that wasted money, because if I bought this place, it would be $7 million. I'm not spending $7 million. I don't want to live here forever. I'm renting it, and that, for me, for my lifestyle, that's better. So he sets up a trickle system. All the money goes in the top, ends up in all these different accounts. One of them is a travel fund. One of them is fund money. He has a separate credit card for fund money. He puts $500 a month into that account, in that trickle system, and when that account is empty, he's done with fun for the month. Now, this guy's worth a lot of money. He doesn't really need to live on that tight of a financial program, but he still chooses to, because his goal is to be completely debt-free, have X number of dollars in the bank, millions of dollars in the bank, and check out. He wants to buy an island somewhere and go sit and suck down Mai Tai sitting on the beach for the rest of his life. Sounds good. Not my first choice, but so that book is fantastic. He has a website, he does a blog, he's easy to find on social media. Might be a little bit more, like I said, age appropriate for you guys, because Dave Ramsey's in his 70s, and Ramit's a little younger than I am, so that may be something to check out too, to give you some guidance on that stuff. The sooner you get your money under control, the sooner you can start squirreling away money for the future, right? Whatever that is, starting your own business, buying a house, buying a second house, or like a cabin in the mountains or whatever, paying for a car that you want to drive. My wife's in love with the idea of having a Tesla. Well, it's not quite in our budget just yet. So the faster we get out of debt and start saving money and can pay cash for a Tesla that's 2 or 3 years old, the quicker she'll be sitting behind the wheel of one of those. One of the things that I missed out on, not having better money knowledge to this point in my life, is compound interest. If at age 30, not even your age, but if at age 30, you were able to save $6,000 a year and put it into a Roth IRA, at 7% interest, which is easy to achieve, you have $1 million by the time you're retired. $1 million on $6 grand a year that you're putting into a Roth IRA. I missed a lot of time of compound interest. I'm trying to make up for it, and to make up for it at this stage, I got to throw a lot more money into the IRA and into the system that generates money off of my own money. If I had started at your age, I might be retired by now. But hindsight's 20/20. I didn't set myself up for that. So on to the next P, planning. Again, your job, so to speak, now is to plan out an effective approach for setting yourself up for happiness moving forward. Again, not the world's definition of that. Whatever it is that you want, and this is a little kind of a touchy subject, but I'll dance around it a little bit. Not what your parents want, not what your friends want for you, what you want. Figure out what it is that you want to do. If you want to go save the world and volunteer for Greenpeace or something like that, fantastic, go do it. It doesn't pay very much, but if that's what makes you happy, that's what you should be striving for. If you're getting forced into being a doctor and you're headed to med school because that's what your parents think you should do with your life, you're setting yourself up to be miserable. It's just a matter of time until you figure that out. So, again, if your parents are the reason that you're here at school because they're funding it, that might be a tough conversation, but at some point you have to draw a line in the sand and say, this is what I want for my life, this is what I'm going to do to make me happy. That might be making $250,000 a year. That might be like my friend who makes $28,000 a year. She works at Starbucks. Loves her job, is a morning, she's there in the morning at 4 o'clock, she's done by 12, she's a daytime manager, she has benefits, she never misses a kid's soccer game. Loves her life. That's good enough for her. That's the kind of life that you want to strive for, whatever makes you happy. So, the magic question is, what do you want to do? You want to own a company? You want to fight for the environment? You want to write a book? Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. You just have to eat that elephant a bite at a time, right? That's the old analogy for that. That you can't do it all in one shot. You're not going to graduate and get a job that allows you to travel the world and fund everything that you've ever dreamed of doing. It's a slow, steady process. But again, the concept of eating the elephant a bite at a time, you can accomplish whatever it is that you want to do if you map out a plan and slowly do things step by step by step. So, architecting your ideal lifestyle. Again, this is my favorite thing to do. Tell by the smile on my face and the size of that fish, how much joy that brought to me. That was 4 years ago. My dad was with me. He netted the fish. I took a little video of it, took some pictures, released it. I caught that same fish this summer. Was in the same hole. 4 years later, caught that same fish. Unfortunately, I didn't get him back into the net, so I didn't have a picture of it. But I have this same picture on my wall in my office. Every time I'm having a bad day or get off of a boring conference call, I look at that picture and go, okay. As long as I'm working towards another one of those trips, I'm good. So for me, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be a fishing guy. I do not want to work at what I love. I like my day job. I love fishing. That is what I do for my passion and my hobby, not for my day job. I think for most people, you don't hear that often enough. Everybody tells you find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I did that as a racquetball player. I did it till I was completely burned out. By the time I was 30, I didn't want to look at a hardwood floor for 5 years. I quit the sport, didn't coach, didn't teach, nothing. I could not, I was so burnt. My whole life had been built around pursuing that, and I did it till I was absolutely sick of it, and I scraped out a living at it. If I had it to do over, what I should have done was been a fireman who played racquetball. Firemen work 10 days a month, have a good paying job, have benefits, have a pension program. I would have been a fireman who played professional racquetball. I wouldn't have eaten so much top ramen in my life because I didn't make enough money as a racquetball player to fund that lifestyle. If I would have been a fireman who played racquetball, I could have had my own hotel room instead of sharing with 5 other guys, eaten reasonable meals, gotten some coaching, all of those kind of things would have been affordable if I had a different job and chased my passion of being a professional racquetball player. So I don't think that's something that people hear often enough to consider. For some of you, you probably have something in mind that you love to do, and if you can make a career out of that, fantastic. But for a lot of people, find a job you like and do something you love on the side. So as you're coming up on this journey, right, as you're getting to the end of school and figuring out what to do next, it's, again, this is the picture I want you to have in your head. It's a long journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't have to have the new car and the new house and everything figured out in the next, by the time you're 30, right? A house, a spouse, and 2 kids by the time you're 30. Okay, now what, right? Pace yourself, figure things out, travel, do whatever it is you want to do at this stage of your life. You're going to have your whole life to work. So if you've got something big planned like backpacking through Europe, start working another job now, save up the money to pay cash for that, and go do it before you get locked into a 40-hour-a-week day job where you just don't have the opportunity to do that. Again, I don't think you're ever going to reach a point where you have everything figured out. I still don't. And I talk to my dad, and he doesn't either. I have some older friends that I ask them that same question all the time. You'll never reach a point in your life where you have everything figured out. But if you can leapfrog yourself into a spot where you avoid some of the obvious things, the cliche things, you'll be so much better off, believe me. So the last P, I know, I couldn't call it 3 Ps and an F, so I changed the spelling of friends. But this is a big component in a happy life, in my opinion. I have been really fortunate to have had a large circle of friends of all ages, different financial statuses in their life, all those kind of things. And that's been really, really important for me. College is a great way to have a lot of exposure to diversity. When you get out into the real world, that may be there, may not. Right? When I go into corporate America, I see an awful lot of old white guys sitting at the table across from me. There's not nearly enough women in those positions. I don't see a lot of multicultural companies yet. Some of them are great about it, but an awful lot of them aren't. So I want to make sure that I have as diverse a group of friends around me as possible. Also, as you've probably heard before, you are probably the middle of the 10 people that you hang out with the most. So that being said, did somebody pop into your mind that, oh, I should cut that guy loose? He's definitely at the bottom of the list. You want to associate yourself with people that have not necessarily like ideas, right? It's good to have a diverse group of thoughts and attitudes towards things, but you definitely want to have as much exposure to the world as possible. And that is socioeconomic backgrounds. Again, college, at ASU, I think 25% of their student population is from out of the country. So I teach a racquetball class there. I always have kids that have to have a translator for a racquetball class because they don't speak English. I don't know how you come to an American university not speaking English. It's got to be a really tough struggle, but there's lots of people that do it. So anytime that you can expose yourself to that sort of diversity, absolutely should do it. For my older friends, I gain a lot of wisdom and try to learn things from their mistakes. I have a friend who's been married and divorced 5 times. I've learned a lot from that guy and haven't had to do it myself. He's 3 years older than I am. He easily could have been retired if he wasn't paying alimony to 4 other women. Gave away 4 houses, a whole bunch of money, and is a huge retirement program that he had been working on since the time he graduated college. He was in finance. He knew how to manage money. He had all of that stuff figured out, except for the part of not cheating and getting caught. Cost him an awful lot of money, and he's probably going to work till he's at least 65 because of it. So I want to learn that stuff from somebody else and not have to experience it myself. For my younger friends, there's a bunch of other things I learned too. This cast of characters is the 2017 ASU racquetball team. I've been to her wedding. I had coffee with her last week. I was at Jesse's house on Sunday for what he calls Friendsgiving. And Mela, who's over my right shoulder there, she's from Costa Rica. My wife and I are going to spend 10 days in Costa Rica in December on our delayed honeymoon, courtesy of Mela and her parents. We're staying at a really nice resort for 3 days. The rest of the time we're staying with her family, so that trip is going to cost us as the minimal amount to be able to go spend 10 days in Costa Rica. All of those kids and the assistant coach who's there, all very, very close with all of them still today. They teach me just as much as I teach them, right? Yeah, I'm older, I have experience in things, but they're a great reminder of that you still have a lot of life ahead of you waiting for you. That being a kid and not being so serious all the time is an important part of life. So they're a good reminder of all that stuff for sure. Love them dearly, and I've had 13 years of those kind of experiences, so I consider myself very rich in terms of high friendships and associations. It's been a really cool ride. So, what you do in the next couple of years is really crucial. How you map out your plan, you're either digging yourself a hole financially, or you're filling that hole in and you're going to be way ahead of the rest of the world. It's up to you. Find something that you want to shoot for, whether that is financial self-sufficiency, or if starting a business is your goal. Don't end up talking to a bunch of venture capitalists that you're going to end up working for. Start now, put money aside, set yourself up to be self-sufficient, start that business, and be your own boss. Don't end up having to borrow a bunch of money and end up working for the bank or for a venture capitalist who are going to end up owning the company anyway. Every dollar that you make, you want to have that have a job. The job is paying off debt, going to your savings. A little bit of it is for fun. The rest of it needs to go to work for you. You'll have to do some education on your own to really figure some of that out. I don't have all the answers, but like I said, I gave you a couple examples of people who can lead you down that path a little better than I. But if you start with that mentality right out of school, you will be so much better off than most of the people that are about your same age. So, kind of a recap. Again, the 4 Ps. I shouldn't have put that in red. It's hard to read. So the rest of the world's definition of happiness doesn't matter. It's what you consider happiness that you should be striving for sure. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Surround yourself with a close group of friends. Make sure you plan out your financial future. You want to make sure that you have a better perspective than most. Don't buy into the hype that the world presents to us all the time these days. So that was what I wanted to share with you guys. Did that prompt any questions, thoughts? I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one if you have something you don't want to share with the group, but if you've got something you'd like to pose as a question, now fire away. Yes?